Have you ever wished you could go back in time and give your younger self just one piece of advice? Not a winning lottery number, not stock market predictions, just one lesson that could have changed the direction of your life. In a quiet suburban neighborhood lived an elderly man named Arthur. Every Tuesday morning, without fail, he walked to the local library. Rain or shine, summer or winter, the librarians all knew him by name. Yet something about Arthur puzzled everyone. He rarely borrowed novels. He rarely checked out magazines. Instead, he spent hours reading books about history, science, psychology, leadership, and biographies of ordinary people who had lived extraordinary lives. One afternoon, a high school student named Emma sat across from him. She had come to the library to finish a homework assignment, but she couldn't help noticing the stack of books beside him. Curious, she finally asked, "Are you studying for something?" Arthur smiled. In a way, Emma laughed. "But you're retired. What are you preparing for?" Arthur closed his book and looked at her kindly. "I'm preparing for tomorrow." Emma frowned. "But tomorrow is just another day." Arthur shook his head. "Exactly. And tomorrow deserves a better version of me than today." Those words stayed in Emma's mind. A week later, she saw Arthur again. This time, he was reading a book about gardening. The following week, he was learning basic Spanish. Then woodworking, then astronomy. His curiosity never seemed to end. Finally, Emma asked, "Why do you keep learning things you'll probably never use?" Arthur smiled. "Who says I won't use them?" He pointed toward the library window. "Do you see that oak tree?" Emma nodded. "When someone planted it 50 years ago, they had no idea who would someday enjoy its shade. They planted it anyway." Learning is like that. You don't always know when today's knowledge will become tomorrow's opportunity. Months passed. Emma began borrowing one extra book each week, not because a teacher assigned it, but because she wanted to learn something new. At first, it was difficult. Reading required patience. Some topics felt confusing. Others seemed unrelated to her life. But little by little, she noticed something changing. She asked better questions. She became more confident in conversations. She solved problems more creatively. Learning had quietly become a habit. Years later, Emma started her own small business. Whenever people complimented her success, they assumed she had simply been talented. She smiled because they couldn't see the hundreds of quiet afternoons spent reading, thinking, and growing. One autumn morning, she returned to the library. Arthur's favorite chair sat empty. A librarian gently told her that he had passed away peacefully a few weeks earlier. Emma felt an unexpected sadness. Before leaving, the librarian handed her an old library card. Arthur had left instructions that had been given to the young woman who never stopped asking questions. Tucked inside the card was a handwritten note. It read, "The greatest investment isn't the one that grows your wallet. It's the one that grows your mind. Everything else begins there." Emma carried that note in her journal for years. Whenever life became difficult, she would read it again. The story isn't really about books. It's about growth. Many people stop learning the day they leave school. They assume education has ended, but life continues teaching lessons every single day. Every conversation can teach us something. Every mistake, every challenge, every person we meet. The question isn't whether opportunities to learn exist. The question is whether we're paying attention. Knowledge doesn't always produce immediate rewards. Sometimes it sits quietly in the background for years. Then one day, the right idea appears at exactly the right moment. A skill you learned years ago solves today's problem. A lesson from a book helps you encourage a friend. A piece of wisdom changes an important decision. Growth is rarely dramatic. It's usually invisible. One page, One question, one lesson at a time. Just like a tree grows ring by ring, our lives grow choice by choice. The person you'll become 5 years from now depends greatly on the habits you build today. Not only what you earn, but what you learn, because money can be lost. Possessions can disappear, but the wisdom you gain becomes part of who you are. No one can take it away. So never believe you're too young to start learning or too old to keep growing. Curiosity has no expiration date. Neither does character. Every new day offers another opportunity to become a little wiser, a little kinder, and a little more prepared for whatever tomorrow may bring. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me. If this story encouraged you, I'd love to hear from you. What's one lesson you've learned recently that changed the way you see life? Share it in the comments below. Your experience might become the encouragement someone else has been searching for. If you enjoy meaningful stories about wisdom, character, and everyday life lessons, don't forget to subscribe and join us for another story next week. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, the greatest investment you'll ever make is the one you make in yourself.